All righty, everybody. This is Kathleen Gage with Plant-Based Eating for Health. And today, I love when I have guest experts on. I just love vegans. It's like that's just the way it is. But this particular featured expert, I've been following this guy. I've been a stalker for a few years, and he's one of the reasons that I really gave it a shot on, first of all, being plant-based and then calling myself a vegan, because he actually founded Happy Healthy Vegan, and he has a phenomenal backstory. And with that, Ryan, I want to welcome you. I have Ryan Lum today. So Ryan, go for it.
Yeah, thanks for welcoming me, Kathleen. I'm just like very humbled to know that our show, because it's not only my show, my wife Anji and I, we do it together. Even though I make most of the videos, her business is more on the other creative side, like Instagram. She's always taking great food photographs. In fact, just today, I believe we're completing her follow-up book. Her first book is Keeping Carb Baby. The second one now, Happy Healthy Vegan Cookbook. If fingers crossed, we might be sending it to the printers today. So she's been quite busy with that. But I think I forgot your question though. After like, what's my background?
Well, you gave me some of your background. You're married. Yeah. Anji is your wife. You have a book coming out, another book coming out. I know that you have a product line with Happy Healthy Vegan. But let's start with when did you become a vegan? You're a long-time vegan, but what was your turning point?
Well, I committed fully 100% to being vegan in the autumn of 2010. So this is my 10-year vegan anniversary right now, basically. But before that, I was kind of like sticking my toes in the vegan waters, trying it for a while, but not fully committing. But finally in 2010, I said, no more excuses. I mean, it's kind of funny to look back 10 years, but right now, back in 2010, I'm saying it's so easy now to be vegan. There's so many restaurants you can go to, so many foods you can get. We all know it's exploded like 100-fold since then. But back then, I found it so easy to do it. But the reason why I went vegan in 2010 is the reason why I tried going vegetarian in the early mid-1990s is that I found it, I was actually, what kind of inspired me, I was at a concert and they were Hare Krishnas serving vegetarian food, and I thought it was completely delicious. I started going to some of their restaurants, and it just put the idea in me that you don't need to eat animals. Animals don't need to die in order for you to live. And to me, it seemed like a no-brainer. If I could intentionally choose a lifestyle that didn't necessitate animals being killed in order for me to live, why wouldn't I choose that? I guess the only reason would be like laziness or just a lack of information or ability to do it. And in the 90s, I was living at home. My mom was cooking. That was part of the reason why I didn't succeed. But by the time I met Anji in 1998, she was already a vegetarian since the 90s. So she knew I was in tune with that way of thinking. So we just kind of evolved to going fully vegan in 2010.
I love it. I love it. So what's your number one driving force around being a vegan? Is it health? Is it animals? Is it the environment? And it can't be all three. You have to give me the number one reason. If you had to pick one, what would it be?
Okay, I respect that question and how you want to pick one. Because what how I describe it to people, it's a win-win-win. It's triple win. It's not like a win-lose situation. It's a win-win-win. It's a win for animals. It's a win for the environment and a win for our personal health. And there's other wins too, athleticism and so on, but those are the three big wins right there. For me though, first and foremost, I became vegan because I found it morally wrong to intentionally choose a lifestyle that necessitated killing animals when you didn't have to. So it's always an ethical, a moral philosophy. So for me and foremost, that's the number one issue. It's pointless to kill 80 billion animals a year when you don't have to for food. But there are consequences of killing 80 billion animals a year, such as environmental consequences. We are destroying our planet. It's hard to rank what's more important, animals' lives or passing on a planet to maybe even ourselves. Climate change is happening much more rapidly, but to our next generations, for me, that's probably my, a huge moral imperative. It's hard to rank it versus like animal cruelty and animal ethics issues. But passing on a habitable planet, which you and I were fortunate enough to inherit from our forefathers, I consider that a moral imperative for us to pass on to the next generation. So that motivates me too. And
I love
and the
it.
health aspects, I mean, I haven't even talked about that yet either. But yeah, I guess that's just icing on the cake. But being able to live without acquiring and dying from the most common forms of death in the West, that's a big bonus too.
Absolutely. And I know that was a hard question because I would be very hard pressed to pick one over the other, even though initially mine was about health because I had inflammation. But what was so interesting, Ryan, is that I had been working in the pet industry for many years. And I remember the first pet conference I went to that I was a keynoter at, and I was sure that they wouldn't have any meat products on the plate. They brought out steaks, they brought out chicken, they brought out fish. And I was like, there's a disconnect here. And what I was 64 when I went plant-based, and it was just like, initially, I didn't want to call myself a vegan because I thought you vegans are so radical. And now I proudly wear my vegan AF shirt, and
Yes.
I have to get a happy, healthy vegan, definitely a tank. And because one of the things that happened to me is I dropped 38 pounds by going plant-based and giving up all animal and dairy products. And when you have people that say to you, I'd like to go vegan or I'd like to go plant-based, but I couldn't give up X, whatever X is, whether it's red meat, whether it's turkey for Thanksgiving, whether it's cheese, what do you say to them?
I'll say, well, anyone who utters that kind of question or complaint or excuse now, the more we go into the future, the less valid that excuse becomes, because there's so many delicious vegan equivalents to anything that you liked. If you liked Ben and Jerry's, I was stoked 5-6 years ago when they came out with the dairy-free Ben and Jerry's. I mean, there's just nothing out there. I mean, if you like eggs, well, just egg is reaching the market. It has been in markets now for over a year. If you like burgers, I mean, Beyond Meat reverse engineered a quarter pounder basically to put out their Beyond Burger and gave it just a smidgen more protein. They mimic the macronutrient ratio. I mean, and the taste, the texture, the flavor, the way it cooks. I mean, these are high-tech companies putting out products that are that replace what you once thought you couldn't give up. So that's not an excuse anymore. Even fish is being changed. It's coming now with Good Catch. I mean, not just I promote that you need to eat all these foods. I prefer whole food plants, but I'll eat these foods from time to time. But there's no excuses anymore. Whatever food you love, there's a vegan equivalent. That's not just okay. It's awesome now.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I want people to know that this is Kathleen Gage with Plant-Based Eating for Health. And I'm talking with Ryan Lum, and you can find him at ryanlum.net. That's ryanlum.net. And it's RYANLUM.net and happyhealthyvegan.org. And at Happy Healthy Vegan, you've got links to videos. You have a phenomenal YouTube channel with only 216,000 subscribers. I love that. You have hundreds of thousands of people that follow you that really appreciate what you're doing. You've put out over 1,000 videos. And what I really like about you, and I'm not saying this because you're on my show, I would say this to anybody. What I like about your style, Ryan, is you call it as you see it. I've watched you really debunk a lot of the garbage that's out there. Like when Miley Cyrus decided she wasn't vegan anymore. I loved that video that you did. Talk to us about the people that call themselves vegan and then they decide, oh, I'm not vegan anymore. What's that about?
Wow, yeah, I've made many videos of people who made their own video, why I'm no longer vegan, and I don't want to get people mad or I'm not going to try to. I don't want to be too offensive here, but I'll tell you the common denominators that I've found, because I've made dozens of these videos, and most of these people, Miley doesn't quite fit exactly into this, but most of the people these people that we're referring to here that made these videos are influencers of some kind, typically YouTube influencers, Instagram influencers, and like pretty much without fail, I'm trying to think of an exception right now. What they have in common is they've done some extended form of extreme dieting. They just weren't vegans. I'm a vegan, but I didn't fast for 35 days. I didn't just eat fruit for 5 years or calorie restrict for most of my life, or just have a really restrictive diet of say juice in the morning and kale at night, or just some weird stuff where you intentionally make a vegan diet extremely restrictive. And I'm completely opposed to that. There should be nothing restrictive about a vegan diet. There's hundreds of thousands of edible plants out there. Each of them has their own unique nutrient profile, and that's where we get our health from, eating all this great diversity of food. So I've noticed people that are on these restrictive diets it's not like a slam dunk. It's not like all of them end up quitting and leaving veganism, but you're at a higher percentage. It's all about probabilities. There's nothing for sure in life, but they have a higher probability of making a "why I'm no longer vegan" video. The thing is, they end up getting some kind of health issues. No coincidence, right? And then they blame it on the vegan diet, not the restrictive, odd things that they were doing.
Interesting. Well, and it's also in a way clickbait. Because it's like when they, say, "Oh, I'm no longer a vegan," they get hundreds of thousands of views on their video. And so it's like it's really looking at how aligned they are with the ethics of what they were doing and what they are doing. But when people talk about you, what do you think they most often would identify you as and your branding? What are you most known for?
It depends on who you ask. The videos that Anji makes are totally different. Mine, hers are more like lifestyle, like just how easy and simple and inexpensive and not weird it is to be vegan. We want to just kind of blow that myth apart. Because you said when you first went vegan, you thought it was some weird, trippy, crazy thing. It just is. It's just normal. We don't eat animal products. There's nothing else weird than that. You can. What's so weird about buying rice, beans, potatoes, and vegetables? Even non-vegans buy that stuff too. We just buy more of it. But for the kinds of videos I really enjoy making are ones where I can pull upon my background in college. I studied. I have a degree in philosophy. In fact, I'm a PhD philosophy student dropout. I left after a year. I went on a leave of abstinence and never came back because I found more exciting opportunities in life. And before that, I did some. I almost got a minor in research psychology, experiments. So I can kind of pull upon my light science background and my heavy critical thinking skills and use those skills to as you said, my debunking videos when there's all sorts of nonsense coming from the mainstream media. Joe Rogan, that's where Miley Cyrus is on. He's done so much disservice to spreading misinformation about veganism. So what I do is I go through and look at the claims that they make and see. Most of the time they're just claims too. There's nothing backing them up. So we go and look at the actual data, look at the science, and see where the truth lies, because that's what I believe in. I believe in believing in true things, and this applies not only to veganism, to diet, but also to just any facts about life. I don't want to go through. Life's too short to be believing in falsehoods. I'm all about believing in things that are true about this real world that we live in, which carries into politics and everything. So that's what I do. I just try to use my critical thinking skills combined with what the scientific consensus is and share that with the world when some idiots are trying to say that, veganism is going to make you go bald or make you a man become a woman or whatever nonsense they say.
That takes a good surgeon to become a man to a woman or whatever.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you can do that, but
you can do that.
Eating tofu is not going to do that to you. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of the political side of things with the new administration that we're going to be having, where do you see the awareness around factory farming, around the environment, around health, and the connection between what we eat and the compromising issues that we have with COVID? Because I have to tell you, I do get really frustrated when I see they say, 10 new deaths or 20 new deaths, and all of them had underlying causes. And I don't want to minimize COVID by any stretch of the imagination, but I also think that we need to be more accountable to our health to minimize our risk of complications. So what's your take on all of that?
Again, nothing in life is a slam dunk. It's all about probabilities. And I've seen world-class athletes like Grigor Dimitrov come down with COVID earlier this year at a tournament and spread it to Novak Djokovic. Well, Grigor was still feeling effects months later. And this is one of the healthiest, strongest, fittest persons in the world. So I just want to tell people out there who have this mistaken belief that if they're super healthy or eating a certain diet that they're somehow immune to getting COVID, or at least experiencing lasting effects. And that's completely untrue. You're at a higher likelihood of being better off than someone that has multiple underlying health conditions over the age of 70, et cetera. It's all about probability. So just to dispel any myths there, no one is immune. The virus makes no distinctions between, oh, this person's totally healthy, there's no way I can mess them up, I'm going to go infect some other guy. But that being said, yeah, it's important to have the virus is showing the importance of having good health. Those who are in better health, good vitamin D, get sun, light and all that, tend to do better than those who don't. But again, it's all probabilities. And speaking of a new administration coming in, some of the issues you brought up, I don't think will change too much, but at least we're getting an administration who is not opposed to science, denying climate change, denying the advice of the best health experts in the world, and saying, no, we're going to do our own thing here. We're just going to let herd immunity happen. And there's like no world health experts advocating for that. I don't know if we're going to get much in the way of, like, say, what you're asking about, like, I forgot some of the issues, but as far as like listening to scientists about climate change, the current administration, if you go to the EPA's website, Environmental Protection Agency, there's no mention of climate change. It doesn't exist. At least they could say, we're not sure, but no, they just want to like sweep it under the rug like it's a non-existent thing. So at least our current administration our incoming one will listen to scientists once again. So I expect better things, but we still need to act more quickly. Like Biden said, like when he's the first day in office, he'll get us back in the Paris Climate Accord, but Trump just had us leave. The thing I say about that, that's good. We need to be in agreement with other nations about how to move forward with climate change, but I don't believe their timetables are going to be quick enough for what we need to do, but we still need to move in that direction. And that's why I say, what can you do as an individual? The best thing that any one of us can do right now, instead of waiting for governments, waiting for business to take action, is you can go vegan. Animal agriculture is the #1 source of greenhouse gas emissions. And this is by the United Nations' own data. I'm not making this stuff up. And they've said that people on this planet need to eat way less meat if we would have any chance of fighting climate change. They've ranked, the United Nations has ranked diets as like being most climate friendly, least climate friendly. #1, most climate friendly, vegan. #2, vegetarian. So this is something we all can do right now. And as you said, you went to like a pet or animal conference, you're surprised they're putting animals on the table. Same thing when you go to an environmental conference, especially one that tackles climate change, and they're putting meat on the table. It's like, hello, don't you understand what the #1 source of greenhouse gas emissions is? How can you just eat this stuff? I mean, if you're not going to be honest about the #1 source of climate change, of greenhouse gas emissions, how can you truly tackle climate change? And this goes on to other areas of politics. Like, most politicians aren't addressing that. Andrew Yang's one of the few people who are in the race for this election cycle that were even acknowledge the role of diet and eating less meat and climate change.
That's incredible.
Well, I should mention too, why am I getting so political here too? I ran for Long Beach City Council here this year.
I saw that. Now, when was that you ran for city council?
The election was during the California primary in March. There were 7 of us running for a vacant seat. And the top 2 vote getters, they had a runoff that just happened November 3rd. So yeah, my election officially ended March 3rd, though. Okay.
So what was your platform? What were you running on?
I was the only vegan in the race, by the way, so I wanted to make sure people were aware of the environmental consequence. I was running on a very pro-environmental platform, but also just a compassion platform, not only for animals, but for people, for homelessness, to help homeless people in a true, meaningful way. And kind of like Andrew Yang, to mention him again, just based on math, on numbers and science. Any issues that were important to the city, I would go and do the research. I would look at what the research showed, what the science said, like what's the most effective way of helping homeless people, the most efficient way, the most effective way. Some methods you can throw a lot of money at it and really not get much out of it. In other ways you could put half the amount of money and get 10 times out of that. So I was trying to find effective methods of helping out, for homelessness, for greenhouse gas emissions, the whole thing. So yeah, unfortunately, I was severely underfunded. I went in blissfully unaware of how much money goes into a local political race. Like, you know, we're talking like, you know, $50,000, $100,000 minimum to really be one of the front runners. And my 3,000 that I got primarily from viewers of our channel who wanted to see what I was doing really become reality. I praise them, and, you know, I'm grateful to them for giving me an opportunity to run a real campaign. You know, I had my website, I had my candidate statement and a ballot thing that got mailed out to everyone. At all the debates, putting ads out there, making videos about the election too. But still, when the Long Beach Police Department gives their favorite candidate $50,000 for free, I can't top that, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of videos, you know, there's a couple of things that I want to unwrap here. One is food deserts and what can be done to minimize the ignorance really around the food deserts, that we're not going to fix the health crisis for the low income people and the homeless people if we don't address that issue. But on your YouTube channel, before we get into food deserts, on your YouTube channel, you've grown it incredibly large. You've got a great following. How long have you had your channel, and what did you do to grow your channel?
I honestly, I don't really consider ourselves a great example of like YouTube success, but it's just, we've just been doing it, like, you know, since 2013 and putting out videos regularly, being consistent about just getting content out there in the form of like weekly, like I try to do live streams once or twice a week. I think that's a great way to build community. And we just try to participate in community outside of like YouTube as well. Go into vegan festivals, Veg Fest. And before that, we were holding meetups out here so people can come and, you know, just hang out, spend an afternoon in a park and eaing vegan food and talking. So, I mean, that's really important to me beyond just making videos here, is trying to build our community. A lot of people watch our shows, watch the live stream and say, hey, I don't have any vegan friends. You're the only vegan person I can talk to. This is really cool, you know? So I'm glad I can provide that service too. So we're just trying everything we can to just spread veganism. And one way, you know, one way is, yeah, to go out in front of the slaughterhouses and activists and that sort. And another way is building community, putting out videos, dispelling myths. You know, we just all are doing our share. There's not, I want to just emphasize, there's not one and only one way to be a vegan activist. People say, how come you're not out there in front of the slaughterhouse? I go, the guys that do that are awesome. I see what they do. Their dedication's amazing, and I commend them. But, you know, you wouldn't expect, like, say, Dr. Garth Davis to be doing that too. I mean, he is a doctor. He can be an activist for veganism in a way that's unique to only a way a medical doctor can. You know, so everyone's got their own strengths, their own background, and they should be the Michael Jordan that they can, you know, using their own strengths.
I love that, because sometimes we can judge ourselves saying, oh, I'm not doing enough. And my whole commitment is getting as many people like yourself on the show so that I can actually just really, really educate my community and grow the community. Because the longer that I live this lifestyle, and I consider it a lifestyle for sure, the longer I do, the more passionate I become about putting the information out there. And I know that you've got t-shirts, you've got books, you've got all sorts of stuff that people can get off the happyhealthyvegan.org website. Now, who was it that started the t-shirts? Was it you or your wife?
We thought of it together, basically. Yeah, I mean, we had our logo that we put on our videos, Happy Healthy Vegan. So we thought, hey, let's put on a t-shirt. We just kind of took it from there. Yeah. So yeah, we've over the years had all sorts of different t-shirts design, as you mentioned, tank tops, muscle tees, a few sweaters and tote bags over time. Yeah, we just kind of try to change our products, or if you want to call it that, or what we offer to people.
So for the holiday season is coming up, and you're a Buddhist, right? Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, when you get down to it, I don't like regularly to go to any organized place. But yeah, I mean, Buddhism is really a mental, it's a philosophy, a psychology, all kind of wrapped in one. It happens up here, not out there. So yeah, I consider myself a Buddhist, yes.
And well, as we move into the traditional holiday season where people buy people gifts and all that, what would you say is something that people could do that would be a really great gift to the animals, to the environment, to their health, as far as a gift for the holiday season? Would it be a t-shirt? shirt that they could wear to educate people? Because I know when I was going to the gym before COVID, I haven't been to the gym since COVID, but I would wear my vegan AF shirt, and it started some interesting conversations. Or Voice for the Voiceless. That one always started great conversations. And it was interesting because some people, they would want to have a very engaged conversation, and other people, the minute you mentioned the word vegan, they were like, ooh, can't talk to this woman. I don't want to go there. But what would you say would be a really thoughtful gift that one person could give another if the other person wants to explore veganism?
Wow, you kind of caught me flat-footed on that one, Kathleen. I have to admit, I haven't really put much thought into
maybe
that.
For something for cooking or.
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, depends who you know. If you have vegan friends or not. So not everyone does. I mean, if you just want to be compassionate and giving over the holidays, just for its own sake, and not really have to please a friend or family member, I would suggest make a donation to say animal rescue place. Like the ones that we are most closely connected to is one called Sail Ranch, like SALE, Sail Ranch Sanctuary out here in Southern California. I mean, I can't speak for every rescue place like this, but what they do is they're getting animals that are about to get killed one way or another. If they don't come to the rescue place, they're going to be killed. And, it takes a lot of money to run these, to feed them. They have veterinary staff, and I know during COVID, a lot of their longtime regular contributors backed down their contributions. So these places are always in need of money, and it's going to a good cause. So that's a good. I
love that recommendation.
Worthy.
Yeah, because we actually have 3 horses, we have 2 dogs, we have 3 chickens, a rooster, and a cat, and all but one are rescues. And we're very involved in animal rescue, so I really appreciate that recommendation. Now, let's talk a little bit about food deserts. Could you explain to people what food deserts are and what could be done to minimize really if you will, the atrocities to people's health because they're not given choices and the food is subsidized with McDonald's and Jack in the Box and all that. So let's have a little conversation about food deserts.
Okay, I have to admit, this is an issue that I'm aware. I know what food deserts are, and I haven't done a whole lot of research and thought into it, but I know part of the reason why food deserts exist, that investors, big supermarkets don't feel like they're going to recoup their investment by putting proper grocery stores in certain neighborhoods. I'm not sure why that would be. Everyone needs to buy food. I don't know why they're averse to going into neighborhoods they feel don't have the highest income zip codes or for them to buy food. And I have to admit, I've never personally lived in a food desert situation, so I can't speak firsthand as to how to survive, how to eat healthy in a food desert. I know, and I've seen here in LA in Watts, there's it's a food desert, and I've seen some groups there offering there's Compton Vegan. He's offering vegan food to his local residents in Compton. I've seen offering a delivery and availability of more fresh organic produce for people that live there. If anyone happens to be watching from a food desert, I would love to talk to you more about, what it's like to live there. Maybe you can educate me, Kathleen, about this.
I don't know a lot about it other than what I've done through my research, but apparently in low-income inner city areas, that's where the greatest risk really of having a food desert is, which for people who have never heard that term before, it simply means that it's like a desert with no resources for healthy eating. It's easier to get a pack of cigarettes and a 6-pack of beer than it is to get an apple kind of thing. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of health issues are escalating out of control. Diabetes, obesity, childhood obesity, things of that nature. And it's kind of like which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Literally, it's like do you fix the food desert and then the health gets fixed, or do you fix the health and then the food? But I believe it's, fix the food desert, take care of the food chain. But yeah, if there's anybody who's listening to this, contact either Ryan or myself, because we would love to learn more about it and what people can do about it. And speaking of doing things, what do you see in the future for you and your wife as you move forward, raising the awareness around veganism, around the lifestyle, all of it?
Oh, just to quickly retouch back on food deserts, and forgive me if I'm speaking out of ignorance here, but I know there's a lot of smaller markets to be found. I know it's hard to find a big market, but there's tons of fast food, liquor stores, but there's lots of bodegas scattered around. And, often you can find good food there. I should say, at least it's not really bad food. Just stick with the simplest foods. If you happen to be fortunate enough to have something like that in your neighborhood, you could probably find some produce. You can find hopefully some rice, potatoes, beans like that. Stick with the simple, type foods there, the unprocessed foods. If that's, you try to, as I said, make the best of what you can in your area there if you've got something like that around. Like I said, the major markets are averse to coming in, but smaller, that's where a lot of smaller markets can thrive and fill the void there. So support them as opposed to the fast food chains who are so glad to be setting up shop there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's interesting because a lot of people, you mentioned beans and rice. A lot of people, they have such a fear of carbohydrates. They think that, that's the death of them. Well, obviously it's not, but it's just the wrong kind of carbs. And your wife wrote a book about carbs. And
keep it carb, baby. It's not about carbs. It's just a fun, playful name of her first cookbook. Yeah, just hey, it's high carbohydrate. I mean, the whole thing about it's like if you're eating plants. For the most part, most plants are just naturally higher in carbohydrate, and there's nuts, seeds, and avocados and all that, which we love as well. But yeah, most plants are high in carbohydrate. That's what most people don't understand. Most people don't even, if you ask them, what is a carb or a carbohydrate rich food? They don't even know. Let's say like a donut or something like that, or
all the misinformation out there. So where do you see what you and your wife are doing as you move forward? What do you see your role escalating to beyond what you're already doing?
It's a really, really good question. I wish I could read the future like that. I would just be happy to just continue growing what we're doing, both just as far as like viewers and creatively think of new ways to make more content that reaches more people in a authentic, meaningful way that inspires people to eat as we do. Not exactly like they can have a vegan diet different from ours, but eat as we do in the sense of not having animal products, and just spread more awareness about plant-based diets, vegan diets, and all the many benefits. Like I said, the benefits of not having to kill 80 billion animals a year, the benefits for our environment, the benefits for our health. Show people how there's really no reason now in 2020, 2021 to not be vegan. The only reason is just like some kind of reluctance, just fear of change. And I understand that the first week or two will be weird as you replace the go-to meals you've been eating for the past X amount of years. You don't have to think about it. It just happens. Well, you'll just have it's like going to another town or going to another country. Your first few days are going to be, whoa, what am I doing? How do I find stuff? Well, once you get over that, it'll just be normal. That's how it is for us. We don't wake up and, God, what do we need every day? We just eat food because that's how these systems are in place in our lives. And that's all. It's just a matter of a little simple change. And you can make a huge difference for yourself and for the lives of animals and other humans now and future.
I love it. I love it. And we'll make sure to put your YouTube channel in the show notes. And it is the Happy Healthy Vegan.
Yeah, just happy, healthy vegan.
Mm-hmm. And just go to YouTube, key that in, and you'll find well over 1,000. Actually, it's 1,243 are how many videos you have currently, with 216,000 viewers. And subscribe to the channel. And Ryan, in closing, what are your final thoughts for people?
Well, as I mentioned too, come to our website, happyhealthyvegan.org, and just sign up for our newsletter. We send out maybe one a year to 2 tops, so we're not going to spam you, trust me. I just want to make sure you're notified for when Angie's book comes out. Like I said, it's imminent. Hopefully you go into the printers today or tomorrow. And she's been really working extremely hard on this for the past like 2 or 3 years. Every aspect. We do it yourself. We don't have a publisher and all this stuff. Everything from the writing, the recipe creation, presentation, the photography, the layout, design, everything done in-house, pretty much 99% by Angie. My little 1% advice sneaks in there.
That's
But
awesome.
what was your question,
Now,
Kathleen?
what's the name of the book so that we can
I
make sure
believe I believe it's called the Happy Healthy Vegan Cookbook, and I think
okay,
it like the
okay.
tag like oil-free recipes.
I love it.
But you can add oil if you really want them. We just prefer no oil in the way we make food.
That opens up another question because there's a big controversy around oil, no oil, and I'm oil free. I actually do the no SOS, and my downfall is the salt. I have to admit, every so often, and I think that's just my adrenals when I'm stressed. But with the oil issue, why would it maybe be beneficial for somebody to consider eliminating oil from their processed oil?
Well, the way I conceive of oil, and I don't think this is too controversial, it's the fat equivalent of sugar. They're both processed, refined foods with all the other macronutrients and most nutrients just stripped out. It's just naked fat or naked carbohydrates. So not too many people consider like the sugar, pure refined sugar, to be all that great for you. It's kind of empty calories in that regard. And oil's similar to that. I'm not saying exactly, but it's a similar concept to that. Even worse in the sense of empty calories. It's about twice as many calories per volume. So we prefer to eat whole food plants. I just feel better eating whole food plants. Particularly now I'm 53 years old. I'm pretty athletic. And if I have an oily meal, I feel it. Maybe I wouldn't have noticed it when I'm 22. You could eat anything at that age and feel wonderful, I guess. But I notice I feel sluggish. I have no desire to really go out and exercise after anything like that. Just doesn't feel like what my body wants to have to feel energetic. And also too, I know veganism isn't a weight loss diet, and I don't try to portray it as one, but as you said, you lost some pounds pretty effortlessly. I thought you said when you first went vegan happened to me as well. And we're not the only examples of that. And if that's one of your goals when you become vegan, I mean, yeah, having a diet that doesn't have all the extra calories that the oil brings into your diet is a big plus. And there's supposed health benefits as well. I don't want to get into that right now since I'm not a medical doctor. You can do the research on that. But yeah, just for us, it's a matter of preference. We feel it when we go out to a restaurant because we don't cook with oil. We don't have oil in the home. We have a little tiny bit that we use to coat the pan when we make popcorn, which happens like once a month or two, so it's no big deal. But when we go to a restaurant, we feel the difference, like, oh man, all that oil, all that salt, yeah. And I'm not complaining. I understand that's how most restaurants are. I accept that. That's totally cool. It's not like we avoid oil and salt 100%. It's just like we don't put it in our foods that we make in our home, because you have control over that.
Absolutely. And it's shocking at times when you go to a restaurant and it's filled with oil and you're like, ooh, I don't like that anymore. But so the name of the book is Happy Healthy Vegan Cookbook.
I believe that's what Angie titled it.
Okay.
99%
Well, be sure to let me know when it comes out, because actually my background is book marketing, and I just did a campaign with one of my books on Amazon, and it hit #1 in every category. And so anything I can do to get the word out, I'm all there. So be sure to let me know, because I'll let my community know. And Ryan, I just want to say thank you so much. I seriously have been a fan for quite a while, and you are making a difference. You're doing some amazing things.
Thank you.
So I so appreciate what you and your wife are doing. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, you let me know. This is Kathleen Gage with Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show. And I've been talking with Ryan Lum, who is with ryanlum.net and happyhealthyvegan.org. Ryan, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kathleen. My pleasure to be here.
Thank you for your commitment to an ethical life through plant-based food choices. The kind of choices that are kind to your body, the environment, and most of all, animals. Be sure to leave a review and rating of the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show.